The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Welcome to the bonus show, starting with very disappointing news for any good New England Patriots fan like the staff of this program. Patriots owner Robert Kraft, 77-year-old billionaire, has been wrapped up in a prostitution sting. He is on surveillance video receiving sexual services, according to police. One of 24 people who were caught in this police sting as part of a human trafficking probe in Florida. And you know what, Pat? I think at this point, before it was like, all right, Bob Kraft is friends with Donald Trump, but he doesn't seem to be a particularly conservative guy, and he still does a lot of great stuff and blah, 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 blah. Is it now no longer plausibly defensible that Robert Kraft is a good guy, or are we of the mindset that soliciting prostitution is no big deal?
I take the mindset that ignorance is bliss when it comes to his ownership of the New England Patriots, but certainly we can criticize him for this. When the story initially broke, I thought that he was actually involved in the human trafficking because the guy's a billionaire. I just imagined that he had connections and was actually in charge of soliciting the prostitution, that he wasn't just, someone who was purchasing the services for himself. So when it came out that he just was attending one of these salons for his own pleasure, I guess, at the cost of only $59 to $79. That was surprising to me. Very surprising.
Well, I'm sure he was leaving really big tips and everybody was really happy with it. So far, we have not heard, I've not seen any kind of formal comment from Kraft about this, although maybe there is one buried somewhere. Interestingly, this is a misdemeanor in Florida. I don't know if, let's see if I can find that. Solicitation of prostitution felony. Let's see where it is a felony, if anywhere. Okay, maybe it's not the easiest piece of information to find. In any case, in Florida, it's a misdemeanor. So more than likely, this is going to not really go too far, particularly given that he is 77 years old, will have access to extremely good lawyers. So I don't expect too much of a penalty here for Robert Kraft, but this has got to be seriously damaging to his reputation as an NFL owner, right? I mean, among NFL owners, is the guy who was caught soliciting $79 sexual favors going to be treated seriously at owners' meetings?
Maybe so, because the Patriots have been so successful. I think you're right that this is going to hit him hard within that circle. But among New Englanders, New England Patriots fans, I don't think that many people are going to care. I really don't. And side point here, interestingly enough, another billionaire was caught up in this too. What are they doing down there? I would have to imagine that there are other ways.
Which other billionaire? I didn't hear about that.
Not a well-known billionaire. Someone whose net worth is only slightly above $1 billion. So maybe he's not even worth discussing, really. He's not like Robert Kraft or one of these bigger names. But it's just weird how this all works. What are these incredibly powerful, rich people doing at this random Florida salon? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, okay, so I've never solicited prostitution, and I'm not an expert in how I would do it, but I visited Las Vegas enough times to know that if you have money, as Robert Kraft does, you don't need to do this. If you're looking to pay for companionship, so to speak, there are high-end, discreet escort services, which if you spend enough time in Vegas, you start to identify, generally speaking, men who are clearly on dates with escorts. It seems like that is far lower risk. Maybe I don't understand why. Maybe there's something special for a billionaire like Robert Kraft that makes it more appealing or exciting in some way to go to a place like this in Florida and pay $79. Rather than having one of these discreet professional type services, like what Elliot Spitzer was wrapped up in or others. But I just don't get why you would even end up doing this if you have the amount of money that Robert Kraft has.
Exactly. That's why I'm so perplexed. Why wouldn't he just pay the extra money and do it in a more discreet way? And I think, many people don't see a problem with this service, and maybe there wouldn't be a problem with it if it was totally legalized and regulated. But unfortunately, many of the women there were essentially slaves. They weren't allowed to leave the property, and you can't be wrapped up in that. You can't be supporting an industry like that.
Nope. And to be clear, the police have said that although there were many people like you, Pat, who thought that he was potentially involved in the trafficking element of it, that he is not, it's not even suspected that he's involved in that. He was just a John, as they are known. I think that there's something offensive about using that term. I don't remember what it is. But
Maybe
I
it's
think you're not
offensive to
supposed
people
call
named
them
John who
Johns.
don't solicit prostitution.
Maybe so. Maybe so. So we'll see what happens with Robert Kraft. Very, very sad day. And listen, I like Tom Brady. I like the Patriots. That's it. I don't have anything else to say positive about Robert Kraft at this point in time. And I probably won't for a very long time. A military draft that applies only to men is unconstitutional, according to a federal judge in Houston who says that excluding women is no longer justified because now they can serve in combat roles just as men do. This relates to what is called selective service. Now, nobody has actually been conscripted into the U.S. military in more than 40 years since the Vietnam War. But there's this thing called the Military Selective Service Act, which requires that all American men register when they turn 18. If a draft is reinstated, they would be eligible through age 25. If you don't register, you can be fined, you can be imprisoned, you can be denied services like federal student loans. Now this ruling says women are fully integrated into the military, and it would not be constitutional to exempt women from the Selective Service registration. I agree completely, Pat. I mean, it's not controversial. I'm against the National Selective Service Act. I don't think we should have a draft. I signed up when I turned 18, but I don't think there's any good reason that women should not have to participate.
Yeah, I agree. Against the draft, against selective service. But if men have to sign up, I think that women have to as well. And that just, goes to the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, equal protection under the law. But I think, this is probably an issue that's being blown out of proportion by like the men's rights activists who brought it forward. We talk about some, issues like free speech on college campuses. And, maybe there is a discussion to be had there. Maybe there are issues. But in terms of issues facing the country, maybe that ranks like 63rd. Women not currently signing up for selective service. I think in the scope and scale of issues that we have in this country, that maybe ranks like 1,000th.
Oh, you think it's even lower? That's interesting.
I think it's lower,
No, I mean,
yeah.
I actually think that, listen, I'm not a men's rights activist. It's a movement that I find to be disgusting in a lot of ways. I think that broken clocks are right twice a day. I happen to agree that if we have citizenship and we aren't a sort of two-tiered system, if when you turn 18, you have to register in the event that there is a draft, both men and women serve in the military, women can serve in combat roles, it would be an inequality that is not a fair inequality to only require men to register. So I think that, listen, is it 1,000th on our list of priorities or 500th or 78th? I don't know. But you can't really have a situation where men, and on the basis of gender, one's rights and responsibilities as a citizen differ. And it shouldn't differ with regard to ability to vote. It shouldn't differ with regard to ability to own land or whatever. And it shouldn't differ with regard to selective service. So I think it's the right decision.
Yeah, I agree. A victory, you could say, for the men's rights activists. I guess they'll be on to their next pursuit pretty soon now.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, let's talk about, I don't want to call this Adpocalypse 2.0 because it's only had a very measured, a very small impact, modest impact on the David Pakman Show YouTube channel, maybe like a 5 to 8% hit to our ad revenue on YouTube. But a bunch of big brands are starting to pull ads off of YouTube over concerns that potential sexual predators are gathering in comment sections of videos to prey on children that are being featured. And YouTube has now deleted more than 400 channels and suspended comments on tens of millions of videos as they're trying to purge their platform of what they consider to be pedophiles. This is, it's very creepy, and I don't even really know how to fully explain it, but there are videos that feature children, and they're not directly featuring children in ways that are wrong or illegal in any way, But there are groups that are sort of focusing on taking screenshots or pausing these videos when the children in the videos are in what could be in a freeze frame, sort of misconstrued as a suggestive pose. I mean, it's really disgusting what's going on. And they are posting comments that are in a sort of code that they've developed. And it's just as vile as you can imagine. And understandably, YouTube doesn't want anything to do with this. Advertisers don't want anything to do with this. But it does have the risk of starting to once again impact channels like ours that are doing nothing wrong. So we're keeping a close eye on it, Pat. I hope it doesn't develop into Adpocalypse 2.0. But Disney has pulled ads. Nestle has pulled ads. Epic Games has pulled ads. AT&T and Hasbro are out. So once these brands start pulling ads, it can affect a wide range of channels. And I've seen some trolls deliberately posting really creepy stuff as comments on our videos, even though they're non sequiturs, to try to get YouTube's system to flag us. So far, I don't think that's been working, but this could get bad pretty quickly.
Yeah, there could be a slippery slope here. AT&T put out a quote saying, "Until Google can protect our brand from offensive content of any kind, we are removing all advertising from YouTube." I mean, what kind of standard is that? Any offensive content? Is what we do here on the show offensive? I would certainly say no, but some could consider it offensive because we have viewpoints that aren't always going along with the majority. Right-wingers could say maybe we're saying offensive things here. So you'd never be able to guarantee that. And I wonder if AT&T will ever come back as an advertiser on YouTube. Also, there's the question of if that really does hurt their brand. Like back in the original Adpocalypse days, April 2017, there was a controversy about a Coca-Cola ad being placed next to a neo-Nazi promoting video. And like, I don't think that the average viewer coming across that clip for one reason or another is going to associate Coca-Cola with neo-Nazis. I think people are so used to seeing advertisements everywhere on the internet that they understand it's not like the two are directly related to each other.
I tend to agree. With you. I mean, if you talk about, some of these videos are probably being produced in a way that is meant to quietly appeal to pedophiles. I don't deny that. But a lot of these videos are like family vacation videos where screenshots are being taken at a moment where some girl is moving through the frame. And if you pause it in exactly the right place, it's sort of creepy and sexually suggestive. If an AT&T ad played before that, is that really damaging AT&T's brand? I just don't think so. I really don't see it. And I mean, I don't want to call it a cop-out because if advertising on YouTube is profitable for AT&T, I don't know why they would need a cop-out to stop or to start. They would just say it's either profitable or not profitable to advertise on YouTube. So I find it a little weird that that's still being claimed as the reason by some of these brands, but there is this aversion to risk that is significant once you get huge corporations and apparatus that includes a ton of lawyers involved. I guess they are being as risk averse as possible, and hopefully it will not come back to hurt channels like ours that are just trying to provide independent news and commentary and political analysis. So we will follow it. If it gets bad, I will absolutely let you know. But so far, muted. February, often not the busiest month on YouTube, and we're maybe down like 5% or something like that. It may not even have to do with what's going on. It's always hard to track down reasoning exactly, but we'll see how far it goes, and we'll see how far YouTube has to go in their effort to kind of put a lid on this problem. Send me your thoughts. That's it for today. New show, new bonus show tomorrow.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.